and thank you very much to the organizers for inviting me here. It's an honor to speak before you, such an august forum. So the topic that I have today certainly falls within the realm of the non-traditional, security imperatives of Pakistan. And in the non-traditional realm of the security imperatives, what we know by now is that war is like, it's not just armed conflict. War is always going on because it's narrative building, it's cyber security, then it leads to some sort of military conflict if it ever leads to that, God forbid. So, and what are the new challenges, how things are evolving, how things are emerging, and what to expect in the coming years in the evolving scenario of the security regime. So, I've already been introduced. So, I headed the Department of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence at NUST for over 10 years, since 2010 to 2020. And my assignment since 2018 is more concerned with the National Center of Artificial Intelligence, which is a distributed setup. We have labs here in Karachi as well, at the NUUT. Also, some of the projects are funded in some other universities in Karachi, like Keith in FAST University and some others. And also we have presence in Lahore, Peshawar and Islamabad in different universities. So it's a kind of a network, in addition to just being, like an office that, develops products. It's also a network of Pakistani scientists, engineers, which are located in different parts of the country and trying to develop, various kinds of technology as, required by different organizations spread across the country. So some of my own research, I come from the background of robotics intelligence, right? So I've been working on humanoids and walking robots ever since my undergrad years. And I've developed robots, built them myself. I have in my years in Germany, in Japan later on, I've developed intelligence for robots. So, and also some of my projects, the ones on the left, especially you may have seen in the television sometimes, because we were the first team from South Asian region who actually made it to the top league of the International RoboCup competition, in which robots play autonomous soccer against each other without any human intervention. Like they have complete AI, built into them, and without even connecting to a cloud, with their limited intelligence inside the body of the robot, it must conceive, perceive where it is right now in the football field, and plan its motion accordingly and score goals and plan to win as a team as well. So this is the highest level of the robotics-based intelligence, and the reason why it is so is that it emulates strategies in which, for example, independent units having some sort of intelligence must make autonomous decisions on their own, on the fly, in real time, and coordinate with each other with limited communication capabilities in order to achieve an objective. I'm sure you can all relate to what this actually entails, and there are several other things, like for example rehabilitation related stuff, and technologies that directly benefit the industry, like these soft grasping capabilities. And we've won a number of international awards in Australia, in London, etc., based on our research. So coming from that background and then heading to artificial intelligence, we are a more applied department which develops technology, but we also have our eye on the strategic aspect, and we keep working on that. Now, looking at the overview of emerging technologies, this is Fortune Business Insights actually, from which they have actually put together a recent article in which they've collected information from a lot of sources. And this actually tells us about, for example, how the security vulnerabilities are evolving, how the cybersecurity vulnerabilities are evolving, which other emerging technologies are considered important by the world, where the world is putting its money, and that gives us some idea about what to expect in the future. So if we look at the overview of emerging technologies and the list that has been put together by Service Innovation Lab and GitHub, on this, so you see that artificial intelligence is the single technology that is actually highlighted as the topmost here as well. And if you look at the numbers put together by Medium, what it shows is that 72% of the CIOs, the Chief Innovation Officers of the world technology companies right now, 72%, it's a big number, actually take artificial intelligence as the technology where they would like to put their money, because they think that this is where their money worth will come from. This is what will reward them, where the return will come from. That is Internet of Things, 46%. And Internet of Things also, when we talk about that, of course there's a network of sensors around you, that could be in the room, or if we're talking about war situation, it could be a network-centric warfare, for example, in which there are, of course, different, sensing machines, devices which are feeding information back to you. So even at the back of that, you have artificial intelligence. Then you have the robotics process automation, cloud native development, etc., so on and so forth. So number of technologies of that. So artificial intelligence is highlighted as the top priority area by the CIOs of the major world technology companies even as we speak. So Genpact predicts that by 2025, firms who have adopted artificial intelligence will be 10 times more efficient and have twice the market share than those who haven't, right? So a single statistic to actually assert that point. Then 86% of companies say that artificial intelligence will be a mainstream technology at their firms in 2021. This is PwC 2021, basically statistics coming from there, but this is far ahead of the initial predictions. Like I remember that there was a very famous article by Microsoft CEO and founder Bill Gates back in the year 2007 when he wrote the article titled "A Robot in Every Home," right? And he said that by 2025 you won't find a single home where you won't have at least one robot working. And at least in my home, like or many others, like there are so many automatic machines that you have. They may not look like humans or a human form of things or something, but they are intelligent automation. And intelligent automata is where artificial intelligence and robotics and all these technologies essentially come from. And this was also there in the prediction in 2007, which Bill Gates has made it in something, right? So for this to come ahead, what Bill Gates has written was by 2025 you won't find a home like that. And here we are already seeing that mainstream companies are saying that 86% of them will have the mainstream technologies AI by 2021. Then 63% of the executives believes that artificial intelligence initiatives are required to catch up with their competitors. This is Deloitte. 58% of firms increase their spending in artificial intelligence for workforce planning, right? So it's a long topic in itself, but even for human performance improvement, there is a lot of artificial intelligence that is actually applied, especially for critical fields like aviation, for example, where the pilot's single decision can impact a lot of lives, and a lot of other things, and this of course includes the tactical decision making as well, right? So the top users for artificial intelligence include IT automation, which is 47%, quality control 46%, cybersecurity 41%, predictive analytics 38%, and customer services 37%. This is Deloitte in 2020. When we look at the major firms, the major new billionaires, the major new companies that have evolved in the world in the recent past, like Google, like Facebook, like Instagram, all of these, the social media, the entire wave of social media around us is essentially an AI wave. Because, like what is Google selling? So number one, the search engine. The search engines itself are an AI technology. That's where AI starts from, right? And what they're selling in the world right now are the analytics, right? So these analytics are also a product of AI, and they give better insights into the market, to the world, compared to anybody else. And just look, for example, one example that like Google probably knows better about our traffic than we do, because they have the Google Maps. They have insights from all the cell phone users who are actually using Google Maps for their own use, and they have better traffic insights compared to what we have. And if we do not have a technology of this sort, a disruptive technology of this sort, working with the data coming to our companies, then the other cost, for example, the cost of putting cameras all over the country to get just the idea about the traffic is such an expensive prospect compared to people crowdfunding their own sensors, which is giving information back to the central company and which is helping us reform and refine traffic into helping to make it better. And with the data in our power to be employed for the betterment of the road network in the future. This is just one example. So this is how the world is evolving, and this is why people like Vladimir Putin have said that whoever leads in AI will rule the world, right? So there's another very interesting saying that was there. I picked it up from an article in Forbes. This was in January 2019. It said, AI wars. Will China defeat the US? And just at the beginning of the article, they put it forth that artificial intelligence is forecasted to add $15.7 trillion to the global GDP by the year 2030. Of course, the number varies. Some people have quoted greater numbers, like in the opening talk, Ambassador Saab quoted. So some people are saying that it's more than 20 trillion, right? So in this particular article, Forbes, it says that it's $15.7 trillion contribution to the global GDP by the year 2030. The main reason is that this technology is general purpose, right? So having applications that span industries like healthcare, transportation, financial services, energy, and so on. Some consider AI to be on par with what we have seen with the evolution of electricity during the 20th century, right? So what this means is that just like in when the revolution of electricity came, our entire dependence upon electricity increased, right? So just imagine this room without electricity right now. You won't be able to hear me. First thing, you won't be able to see me because you won't have light. The concept of, for example, having indoor activities like this has like really evolved ever since the innovation of electricity, right? So the same way electricity has transformed human life, AI is expected to transform the human life in the same way, and it integrates with every form of life, not just technology that we think of. There are entire AI solutions, there are entire AI, you could say technology, you could say concepts that have actually permeated the, for example, fashion industry, the design of clothing, for example. So the way the industry manufactures things, how humans do their work, refining human performance, for instance, in many cases, judiciary, for example, music, for instance. So these are areas which are not traditionally considered as areas of engineering or computer science or pure tech areas. But now, since artificial intelligence helps gather, for example, patterns about what sort of clothes are popular, among people at a certain time of the year. And if we can predict this type of clothes, how about designing some clothes using artificial intelligence? And this is exactly what people are doing, right? So gauging customer insight, and then how about, for example, if there are certain designs, how about floating some of these to 1 million people and getting an idea about what they like, right? So just to get some probability of what will work in the market. So this is a transformative technology, and this is why these technologies are known as the disruptive technologies, because the way they work, they disrupt the way that the technology actually is perceived by humans and the way it impacts our lives. Okay, so this started to pull on me as well. If somebody can help change the slide. I reckon that this is a communication issue. Maybe the battery is not, because okay, it did respond. Okay, so here's putting artificial intelligence into the context of how the world is evolving right now, and particularly from the context of cybersecurity. Website set up 2021, actually this popular international forum, what they say is that more than 90,000 websites are hacked daily. Okay, this is like, if you look at the statistics, it is more than 90,000 websites around the world get hacked on a daily basis. This is the cybersecurity challenge of today. 31% of the companies have had their operational technology infrastructure compromised. This is Cisco saying it in 2018. There's an average of 24,000 malicious mobile apps blocked per day. This is Symantec, Symantec antivirus, we are familiar with that. So they have put out this number. WordPress, by the way, is so popular, maybe a lot of our institute's websites are made on WordPress. And guess what? WordPress is the most hacked CMS, with 83% of the compromised websites being hosted on this platform. Right? So websites that have been hacked, 90,000 per day, 83% of them are based on WordPress. And try asking any website developer where your website is, in which platform it is based, right? So any company falls victim to a ransomware attack every 14 seconds. This is Cybercrime Magazine 2020, right? So every 14 seconds, a new company is falling victim to a cyber attack, and during my speech, so many cyber attacks have taken place already. Nothing to do with me. Okay, and then 43% of the cyber attacks are aimed towards small businesses. Okay, maybe we think that we are not important enough that somebody will hack our website. Guess what? So 43% of cyber attacks are aimed towards small businesses. This is CNBC 2019, and only 14% of small businesses are equipped to deal with cyber attacks. This is also CNBC 2019. So, like and suddenly website being hacked, and many businesses are dependent upon it. The websites are your main, like your front face, because people don't really read newsletters a lot these days now, because everybody's on the net all the time, and the website is your front face. Coming to the criticality of the previous information and linking it to the warfare regime, Now we know that in hybrid warfare, there are 3 steps in which the hybrid warfare actually takes place. In the first step, this is information, psychological warfare, and manipulative cyber attacks. So the existence of social media, because now, for example, imagine the old world before the social media, where things were aired on television and they were like in the newspapers, etc. If somebody even produced something like a deep fake, for instance, newspapers or media companies could be held accountable for what sort of information they're airing, right? What's the source, or if they defame somebody, there was a way to go to the court or something like that. But now, with the capability to produce deep fakes being in the hands of everybody with free apps that they can find across the internet, right? So it's very easy to produce, very convincing information that you can put out there on the internet and you could say brand anybody any way you want, right? So people are not accountable anymore. And then it requires a whole different sort of technology to find the epicenters of, for example, organized defamation campaigns, which would be there in case of a hybrid war, right? So what's being aired in the media at any particular time, the mainstream media, that conveys somehow how the world is perceiving you, right? So when this, the Pulwama incident and everything happened in 2019, I happened to be in Norway at that time, and because I was with an international community and I got stuck for some time over there, could not fly back to Pakistan, so I could interact with the people over there and get some idea about, what sort of things were permeating in their media. And it seemed to me, my impression was that a lot of them were actually following Indian media. They were not reading Indian media directly, but many of the reports going to their newspapers in their language were actually being picked up by news sources which were publicizing that version, right? So anyway, this is one thing, that information and the psychological warfare, the manipulative tactics, these are there, and these are a serious threat, and they're there all the time. This is taking place in shaping global opinion, right? Then comes the cyber war. So once the information campaign has gone for a certain time, then is the cyber war, and then it comes to conventional warfare. And actually, it was called as conventional warfare by the Sasakawa Peace Foundation. I call it the armed conflict because armed conflict is no longer a traditional conflict anymore. I have to be really quick, so just give me 2 minutes. I'll try to do some other things. So already most of this is taken care of. So I'll go to the more interesting parts for you. So also of course there is the proxy wars and a lot of other things that are taking place. So just read the summary that with hybrid warfare, it's cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, economic warfare, and proxy warfare, which are the 4 components actually coming together to actually do the cyber warfare. And the reason why I said there is not conventional warfare anymore is because weapons are also now mechanized. They're also now artificial intelligence. We know about the around 22 hours long flight tests of F-16s, autonomous F-16s that have been done by the US, for example. And technology permeates like anything anywhere in the world, as we know. So there are autonomous flight systems, there are helicopters, there are this Black Hornet, for example, small machines. We've all seen the Iron Dome in action, right? So this has changed the traditional way the wars take place. And I'll invite you to look at this. For example, this is a statement from an article from a letter that has been written to United Nations by various prominent scientists of the world, including Stephen Hawking. And this is what he's saying, that autonomous weapons, which threaten to usher in the 3rd revolution in warfare after gunpowder and nuclear arms. So it's the 3rd biggest technology in terms of warfare after gunpowder and nuclear arms, will permit armed conflict to be fought at a scale greater than ever and at time scales faster than humans can comprehend. So the tactical decision making will be difficult for humans to make. We are all familiar with the drones and everything, and that now the new concept is, you could say, the loyal wingman concept. It's a well-known project, taking place in the US, that a lot of flying machines with one pilot will be autonomous and will be fighting war on their own. So let me skip this, and if you look at the market insights, we can see that AI is growing at a very fast rate. I have the numbers, but since the time is short, so I'll skip some of this. Similarly, for the tactical decision making, now the tactical decision making is being rendered to machines in some cases, not for the most critical technologies like the nuclear technology, but for some of the less critical things. But this has to be done because otherwise fast response cannot come if just we rely on the human response cycle. So AI is based upon the technology which is applicable to civilian as well as military users in the same way, that algorithms are of the same type. but of course their applications are very, very different. But the algorithms themselves remain the same. So at the National Center of Artificial Intelligence also, I've already gone through the introduction. So we are also working on several kinds of products which we are actually putting there in Pakistan, and we have worked with the various military segments as well for various kinds of activities. So let me skip the summaries and show you a glimpse of some of the products that we've developed. Maybe this will be more interesting for you. So this is a safe city project, for instance. We've already developed and deployed our own artificial intelligence based technology for space recognition, for vehicle recognition in two major cities, Lahore and Mardan, and there have been actual incidents where our systems have resulted in apprehension of criminals that have been apprehended from the field in very crowded scenarios. So imagine what what saving comes from just averting one such incident, right? So similarly, we have given software to Pakistan's judiciary, this is for the Supreme Court of Pakistan and for many other other security organizations. This is also for Sparko, for instance. There are other software we've developed for the medical imaging community. There are so many hospitals, for Aghan Hospital here in Karachi, for Shifa in Islamabad, various other hospitals across Pakistan. We are developing various kinds of technology for pulmonology, for brain cancer, for breast cancer, for various other kinds of problems, for vascular disease, for tuberculosis, for thalassemia, and this is for epilepsy, the devices that we have made. So National Center of AI is doing its own efforts and organizing various kinds of seminars and stuff as well to bring people together. Again, great pleasure to speak with you all, and just the last ray of hope that I would like to leave with you is that, for example, we launched this Certified Artificial Intelligence program, the certification in AI, the technical certification, and to our amazement, we discovered that our following, or you could say the way our outreach was not just to Pakistani industry but also to a lot of foreign industry. And what we found is that many countries have come to us that they want to collaborate with us and train their professionals in AI using our resources and people we have. So we are already embarking on that. So just yesterday we received another good news for this. So if you want to get in touch with me, thank you.